Hi, everybody. It's Ciara. Here to do another book talk. Um, I am sorry that you might hear some noise in the background. I was totally busy doing other stuff, and then suddenly realized it was time, and run down here to my office and got started. So might hear my coworkers in the past, not in the past, in the back, which in my opinion is fine. I love my coworkers, but today is book talk day, and I haven't been able to remind myself much. I wrote up some notes, so I might be looking over the side to look at my notes because I read this 3 books ago. So I had to remind myself of things like the characters' names because I can't remember anything for very long. I can remember what the book was about, how much I enjoyed it, etc. But I can never remember characters' names or things like that. Anyway, the book today is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. One thing that's interesting about this book is that E. Lockhart had written a number of novels before this, but this was quite a risk for her. It's sort of a suspense novel, and she had written more sort of contemporary, sort of romancy, high school fun books. So this was quite a change for her, and some of her fans really didn't like it. But other people who were her fans or who hadn't been her fans were excited. And I've never read E. Lockhart before, and I thought it was great. It totally surprised me and blew me away in terms of the suspense. So I'm not going to give a lot away because I want you to have the same experience. I'm just going to sort of set it up for you about sort of the way the book is set up by the narrator. And the narrator's name is Cady, Cady, like in Mean Girls. Her name is actually Cadence Sinclair Eastman. And for most of the time, she lives in Vermont with her mother and her dogs. But at the beginning of the summer of her 15th year, or when she was 15, or really 14, anyway, the story that's really important in this begins. So that early that summer, her father left her family, basically saying, I can't be a Sinclair anymore. And what it means to be a Sinclair is sort of summed up by how her mother reacted to how Cady reacted. And the way she describes it is being shot in the heart by her father and bleeding and being tremendously upset. And her mother says, get it together, be normal, which is essentially the Sinclair way of being. The Sinclairs are an old American money family. And most of the book is set on, what is it called now? Beechwood Island, off the coast of Massachusetts. Now, Beechwood Island is actually an island owned by the Sinclair family. There are 4 houses, the biggest of which is called, sorry, I have to look all this up. Claremont, which is where her grandfather and her grandmother live. And her grandfather inherited the Sinclair wealth and then expanded it, made it even greater, essentially with real estate deals and on the stock market. Cady says, I don't really know what that was. They had 3 daughters. They didn't have a son. Now, their 3 daughters, their names are Carrie and Bess, and they each built houses on the island. So the houses' names are Windermere, which is where Penny and Cady live, Redgate, and Cuttletown. And her aunts' names are Carrie and Bess. And since year 8, which is what they refer to the years of how old they are, there have been these 4 kids who hang out together. It's Katie, 2 of her cousins, Johnny, who is the son of Carrie, and Mirren, who is the daughter of Bess. The 4th person is Gat. Now, Gat is not actually biologically related to any of them. Carrie's husband had left when she was pregnant with her 2nd child. And later she had met this wonderful man who's an art dealer and loves children. His name is Ed. Ed is Indian. They never marry. They're together for a very long time. And his nephew, Gat, Gat's father has recently died, and Johnny is buddies with Gat. So the first time he comes when they're 8. And so that's when the 4 of them are together the first time. And they're all great. They're great friends, you know. And Ed and Carrie, though they remain together for the entirety of the book, never get married. And Gat's experiences also reflect this, that these sort of old American money Sinclairs are indeed racist, though they never express it in words. Their actions and their failure to say certain things do express it. And the 4, they have a blast together. They are the We Are Liars, and they really only became known as the Liars when the 4 of them were all together. And, you know, making trouble, swimming, making bonfires, playing games, just having a ton of fun every summer. And the 4 would be inseparable every summer. And when they were, when they were 14 is the first time when Katie and Gat they start to flirt and they start to get closer. And she thinks maybe she loves him. You know, she has no experience. But she thinks, you know, there's maybe something there. And he is contemplative and curious. He thinks he's thoughtful and he's thinking about important issues. And, you know, he's also athletic and good looking and all of that great stuff. So the next summer, they come back again. They're 15. And Katie's, you know, she's so excited because as she gets there and sees Gat, she realizes that she's in love with him. And then, painfully, she finds out that he has a girlfriend back in New York. And so she's very upset about this. It's very confusing. And they actually do become a couple that summer. The New York girlfriend is apparently forgotten. And the 2 of them are just so close. They share everything. They read together. They explore together. They're on their own together all the time. This is also the summer of her accident. Now, her accident is the source of essentially the mystery in this book. She remembers sort of the earlier parts of the summer, the time she spent with Gat, these wonderful memories. And then she remembers a little bit about the accident, but not very much at all. And it's all she remembers is, I'm not sure that she actually remembers it or if this is, you know, what she was told, but she goes swimming there's a small beach. And what's odd is that she goes swimming in her underwear and a chemise, but her clothes are not on the beach, which is odd. And she goes alone, which is also odd. And the way she justifies that is, oh, they must have been playing Scrabble back at the house, and I just went out for a swim by myself. And there's a little bit that she does remember. She swims quite far out, and there are these sort of big hulking rocks, and it's nighttime. And she thinks she must have sort of bashed her head on one of the rocks because she was, swimming with her head down. And then the only thing she remembers is sort of sinking into the ocean, sinking all the way to the bottom so that she could see the bottom of the island. And then her mother finds her on the beach, like half underwater, curled up into a ball. And she won't stop shivering, no matter how much, how dry they try and get her and try and feed her tea. She won't stop shivering, and she also won't speak. They take her to the hospital, and she has hypothermia. She has some respiratory problems, and they think she has some kind of head injury, though nothing sort of shows up on any of the tests. And later, she's in the hospital, and she remembers her grandfather and her aunts visiting her and looking very sad. And then she's taken back to Vermont to recover. And as a consequence, she has these unbelievably painful migraines. It feels like a truck is like running over her brain, or something is sort of like an axe being smashed into her brain. They make her nauseous. They're unbearably painful. And so she doesn't go back. And the next year, when she would go back, she'd been planning to go back. Her life has changed dramatically. I mean, these migraines are almost constant. They give her some meds. Eventually, she's diagnosed with post-traumatic headaches, and they're the result of a traumatic brain injury. Though it's very difficult for them to sort of find the traumatic brain injury on any scans or anything like that. But it's the only thing that makes any sense, right? And along with the traumatic brain injury comes memory loss. So she can't remember anything else about what happened, what had been happening before anything. And she starts to wonder if something happened to her. Why was she out there like that? And it's a mystery. She doesn't know what happened. And as much as she asks people, they say, no, your doctors say you have to remember on your own. She finds this frustrating. And the next summer, she doesn't get to go to the island. Her father, who left, takes her to Europe, where she's continuing to experience her migraines. But she writes some messages to her buddies back on the island. She had written when she was in Vermont, she was very upset because she didn't hear from Gat. And, they were together, she thought. They were in love, and she never heard from him. And so she was writing to Johnny to see, what's going on with Gat, and Johnny never wrote her back. And she justified this by saying, she was writing these sort of weak, pathetic emails to him, which is not at all a Sinclair thing to do. They are never needy and they are never wrong. You're supposed to be strong when you are Sinclair. And another thing I should have mentioned is that all of the aunts were sort of fighting a lot that summer. And that was something that they had all noticed. But you don't find out too much about that until a bit later. But so she's away for the summer, and she's writing, but she decides, I'm gonna keep my spirits up, write sort of funny things. And again, they never write her back, and she just thinks of it as, they're just they're busy having fun. There's no email or cell service on the island, so they wouldn't even get them until later. But she doesn't hear back from any of them, and she's feeling really lonely, very sick, and in part a little bit inspired by some of what she's talked to Gat about, because Sinclairs tend to hoard material things. They're very rich. They have lots of fancy things in their homes. She starts giving everything away that she doesn't use. And she's giving away pretty much everything she has, and she dyes her hair black. And all Sinclairs have this sort of gorgeous blonde hair. And she's skinny and she looks sickly all the time because she is sick. And the next summer, her parents are arranging for her to go to Australia and New Zealand for the summer. And she's very upset. She said, "No, I want to go back. I want to go back and figure this out, you know." And she's been told a few times that her grandfather is remodeling Claremont. Um, and her grandmother had died previous to the accident happening. So I guess she sort of understands that he's remodeling it, but she's like, whatever, remodeling it. And eventually she gets her way that she will get to go to the island for 4 weeks and spend the rest of the summer with her father in Colorado. And the hope is that actually being there will help her memory and will help her heal. And she goes back and she sees her friends and her memory starts to return. And I'm not going to tell you anything else about the book because the book is about this process of what she sees, what she experiences when she goes back, how her memory returns, and how all of that occurs. And it's it's written with a certain intensity, though I wouldn't say it's an intense book. But her feelings for her friends and Gat, with whom she's in love, are very intense. And the experience of getting her memories back is also very intense. And she does narrate the book, and things that seemed to me not very much start to take on more significance as you look back at it. It's very well organized and plotted in that sense as a suspense book, and it knocks it on your butt. I do not read a lot of mystery or suspense, generally speaking, but this makes me want to read it more because it was extremely well written and sort of beautifully captures these friendships and this romantic relationship, this young romantic relationship that's so intense and very real, and captures all of it. Beautifully written and knocked me on my side when the sort of mystery is solved. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I think it's a great read, and I would love to read more like it. I'm trying to expand my genre, my genres of reading, but yeah, it's a great read, and came out a few years ago. Let me see what year it is. My copyright page. 2017. Came out in 2017. So this is not one of the new books. I'm sort of, my reading is not all new books. There's lots I've missed. So I wanted to share that with you and encourage you to check it out. We've got it here. I actually had my own copy for a while. It was on my to be read list, and I finally said, "Come on, read it." So I did, and check it out. Also, I hope that you are hanging in there during this holiday season. It's New Year's Eve, which I forgot. The last 3 nights, I slept tops 1 hour each, and I was weirdly functioning, but then last night I got an actual night of sleep where I actually had REM sleep. And when I woke up, I was so tired, but now I'm feeling human again, which is odd. It's an odd experience to have that again. Anyway, I hope that all of you are getting enough rest, taking good care of your bodies, things like this, and staying far away from people. Also taking care of your minds, checking in on yourselves and on the others if you're suffering, and I know many of us are. I have been suffering. It was, I did see my family, some of my family for Christmas, which was a great blessing from the universe. I needed very much to see my mom. Um, but I also, I had to say goodbye again, and that was tough. And so, if anyone is doing, really poorly, I know you might be isolated, you might be, stuck away from your best friends, your closest supporters. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Okay, there's no shame in it at all. Many times in my life have I had to reach out. So, um, if you're feeling in that way, a couple of things. Don't be afraid to reach out. There's no shame in it. Um, there are people ready to speak to you confidentially. And also, there's a little bit of hope on the horizon. Okay. There's a vaccine out there. I know we have to wait, but it's on the horizon. 2021 is not going to be the dumpster fire that was 2020. I'm quite certain of that. So, Happy New Year, everyone. Take care of you. Take care of yourselves. And I hope to see you when the dumpster fire is finally put out. We don't know exactly when that will be, but it will be. Eventually, it will be. Take care. We miss you. Bye bye.